Welcome to Portal to Bloom. My name is Rabindra, and this is my wife,
Myra.
And here we are. It feels like it's been a long time, and it has, about a month.
Yeah, it's maybe longer, I would say.
Yeah, May has been quite the month, hasn't it?
I mean, April. We didn't even get into the solar flares and the eclipse.
Yeah. So lots to talk about today. We want to dive into something we feel that's really close to all of our hearts, something that we feel if we could get deeper into could really impact us individually and really as a collective in a way to move forward on this planet in a really positive way, to see certain things even more clearly. And that what we're talking about right now is our relationship with Mother.
Yeah. A relationship with Mother. I mean, I feel like I say this often in intimate settings, like when I'm holding space and teaching Kundalini Yoga, is that everything begins and ends with Mother.
That's right.
Everything.
And we got May, starts with M. We got Myra, starts with M.
Ma frequency.
Yeah. But yeah, so like this month you spent some time in the mountains. You did 2 full retreats.
We did. Oh my God,
a very large group of women both times. And I'm curious to hear kind of what you've seen on the mountaintop with the women as something that's maybe common amongst all of them or amongst the 2 groups. Or were there certain things that were arising that you noticed? She's also doing a Maiden to Mother book study right now at our shop. So everything has been about Mother lately.
Yeah, everything has been about that divine Mother frequency. Well, I mean, literally just came down the mountain a few days ago, and I tend to hibernate and to become more of a hermit after holding space. However, I was very fired up. You know, like I was just like on a mission and nothing was going to, put out my fire. But to answer your questions, the things that I saw within the space that I was co-holding with one of my mentors and dear friends was more so that this kind of idea that we don't have enough time. We don't have any time to come together and do the work that we did up in the mountain and the work that we did down in Bali, which was a very beautiful space as well. And I mean, everything was within this month of March and May. And May is what we're seeing within the alignment cosmically and just numerological is that it's one of the most opulent months of 2024. So a lot of deep work, a lot of velocity within the work. And another thing that I saw outside of the women that actually wanted to come and couldn't come because of whatever reasons or their own story that was kind of holding them back from showing up for themselves was, again, this lack of time. This inability to make space for themselves to receive, or this, excuse of I can't because this is not allowing me, or... Yeah.
So that brings up the thing, So, everything begins and ends with Mother. Our first relationship with love and intimacy is Mother. And, the Mother that we remember from our past is different. Our mother today is different than the mother from the past, for example. But we have a story that we're living based on this. And so the story you're telling me was a lot about time, and what is our relationship and story with time. This morning, I go to Myra, be the reason why the kids are on time to school today. And she took it. Sometimes she's like, nah. But today she took it because it was a very intuitive thing that came out of me. I was like surprised that I even said it. And she took it and she ran with it. And the kids were ready 15 minutes early. They were so happy. We were playing soccer. We were doing all the things,
Yeah.
But I whispered a story into her and she lived it. So she was being the mother that gets her children to school in time in that moment, right? So And the thing that something that Myra and I were riffing on was the story of when Myra's mother came to visit us. She was here for quite a long time. We had an incredible time.
Yeah.
But sometimes 6 months in, things got a little. She had a lot of feedback for our staff and for everybody, and she's a Zen monk. You know what I mean? She is.
Yeah.
But at the same time, it's like, it's my house, and I went to her, and I didn't even say anything to her, and she got instantly upset and had this huge blow up with me, and I looked at Myra. I'm like, I didn't even say much, and boom, everything happened, and it took me a long time. Like 6 months later, I realized she was reacting to who I was being.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
And who you're being comes from, the story you're telling. And so intuitively, she felt my beingness and also probably intuitively felt the story that I was telling to be that way.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. The being is also the aura. A lot of people say that they want to be these certain things, but it doesn't reflect how they're showing up. It doesn't reflect how they're being. I want to be a medicine woman, but then their exterior does not reflect that. There's this one saying that my dad used to tell me, and is, "Dime con quién andas y te diré quién eres," which is, tell me who you hang out with and I'll tell you who you are. And it's again, that energetics in the beingness, because it's carried in your aura, it's carried in your radiant body, it's carried in the subtle bodies. So you're already transmitting a statement in the way that you're being.
And the beauty of it is you can change it, just like we did this morning. I just seeded, hey, we're going to be the parents that get our kids to school early on time today and have the best time doing it. And boom, we did it. So we can alter this thing, right? Mm-hmm. And we have this kind of, Myra called it the aura. Some people call it the field. And so we have this field, this magnetic, pulsing, resonant way of being that comes from how we're seeing the world. But also it, over time, becomes this magnetic thing that pulls. So if you're magnetically charged in regards to like time, all that stuff, all the reasons why you don't have time are going to show up for you. But if you insert, I have time, into the pond that ripples out into infinity, boom, you will see that all of a sudden you do have time. Things will start to shift for you. Right, so we have to first clean this magnetic resonant field of ours, the aura, and we have to constantly do it. We have to continuously clean. And Guru Jas from Rama always says this, you have to focus on one thing, which is the direction you're going. And if you get the right direction, then the details don't really matter, right? And so there's a certain direction for your day. There's a certain direction for your life, cycles, and so we have to clear this field, focus on the cleaning. And the first direction is, do I have a daily practice, right?
Yeah, which is very important. And what I saw too on the retreat is that these women don't have a daily practice. They don't have the time for a daily practice. But one thing that Guru Jess has shared with us, and she just shares publicly as well, is that you don't need time. 3 minutes of whatever the practice is, just take it deeper. Just take it deeper. And if you have time, then go longer with it and go further with it, right? But we can always go deeper. We can always relax more.
Practice is so important, especially in these really charged times. We have globally, we have the need to clean this resonant magnetic field that we live in, that is our beingness. And humans, this thing about time is an interesting thing, because it's not just like a single woman's problem or a single mother's problem or a father's problem. It is really probably a species-wise. It's probably it's like hardwired into our whole system. Yeah. Do you know what I mean? And it's the survival mechanism. So our brain was designed for survival, right? Yeah. And so when we were out in the jungle before we had all these cities, the frontal lobe actually is faster than the rest of the brain, and it is actually, they said it's like a split second faster, so that we could have those quick
dodge
moves. And as a dad, it's like great because
yeah,
you got that Spider-Man ability to catch your son from falling or whatever. We have these interesting
reflexes that are just so primordial.
Yeah,
so
as parents we feel it all the time, but we had it in the jungle, and that split second hardwire response we have to reality is a survival response. So what I see quite often is people mistake this quick first response that we have as their intuition, right? Yeah. And so if your intuition is always on the survival element, then guess where your life is going to be all about, right? Surviving.
You're always on this hyper-vigilant, like, fight or flight apparatus, and it's depleting. Mm-hmm. It's not really allowing you to shift into the ability to thrive and relax into witnessing how you're being. If I'm constantly being in that survival mode, how exhausting is that?
Yeah.
How charged is that? Like it's charged. It's really like electrically charged.
Yeah. So, who you're being speaks volumes before you say a word. Mm-hmm. Like when you're playing with your children, when you're talking to your parents, your mother, being a father, your beingness speaks volumes. So like I was just playing with Hero soccer, and just for a split second I had to check the phone, and he knew I was thinking about it, and he instantly was upset.
Yeah, well, he's an intuitive one. He's a special case.
But kids know, like, you could be there smiling at them, but if you're not being with them, if you're not being present with them fully, they get it. And how they respond to it is that, I'm not loved, I'm not important enough to have their attention, right? So we have to be really careful as parents to really be present with our kids, right?
Or what I find with our kids sometimes is that they really want to show you something exciting, because they think that for us they'll get our attention if we say it's exciting, and it's something that is not a quick fix. Like, I will tell you straight up, they really keep us in check. And it's difficult, especially when you work from anywhere, like I do half of my meetings on my phone, all of my emails on my phone, and that's not okay. And I'm aware of it. And then there is an intention to do something better about it, that they know, they recognize, and they call you out, and you're just like, yeah, you're not wrong. Okay. Where I physically have to put my phone in another place, lock the door, and be present.
Yeah. So every day we have this decision about, am I going to go back to sleep, or am I going to, do the work today?
Yeah.
It's
cozy though. It's
cozy, yeah. And the work is like all those things that you need to do that maybe you've been avoiding, you've been afraid of dealing with,
or facing, or looking at. I think a lot of the times it's like, I don't want to look at it.
And quite often it's just simply just do your practice. Get the energy out of this field here and put it in your central nervous system. Put it in the body, in the spine, so that you have the Shakti, you have the energy that you need to actually move life, right?
Yeah.
And
you have the energy. Yeah, you're right. It's the energy. Like, we came here to get energy, to get more energy. In order to get more energy, we need to practice. And
to practice puts us in a rhythm. And we have to understand that the mind works in rhythm. So if you've been on I'm tired, I'm hungry rhythm, I don't have time rhythm, that's the rhythm you're going to get. And that's why we do our practice, so that we can kind of knock it literally out of our field, charge this body, and start to radiate out and attract in the energy force that we want to create moving forward, right?
Yeah. One of the practices that we did up in the mountain was dancing. Dancing. The women were dancing, and they were wearing these magnificent skirts. And, as women, we forget that we are the, we are the creatrixes. We are the beginning, the middle, and the end, and these skirts kind of represent this hoop of life. Right? This circle, there's no beginning, no middle or end, right? So it's like this juxtaposed experiment or experience. And for me, I put myself in there, like I was dancing my heart out. I think at one point was incepted with spirit and just felt this wave of gratitude that kind of moved me into tears. And I was just feeling this immense level of just pure ecstasy, just by dancing, dancing to the beat of the drum and these really beautiful songs, and we weren't dancing to Shakira or to Rihanna or anything like this, but we were dancing like some like soulful rhythms that were just so moving, because it wasn't so much about the mainstream. It was about being in the body and allowing the sound, right? Because sound, we know that is quicker than, or it runs parallel. Some will argue that it's quicker than the speed of light, but it penetrates us in a way that is just, it can only be experienced. And there was a lot of energy that was moved. The women looked completely different.
Just from dancing. And the feedback was that, wow, that was much more powerful than yoga. Yeah. People always ask me, they come to me because I have a hair bun or something, and or I'm Indian or something. They're like, hey, what kind of yoga should I do? And I've been saying lately, you should just dance. Oh, I have this hip problem. Yeah,
Shut up and dance.
Most problems can be solved with just simply dancing.
Oh my God, yes. Just creating, circular motions in the hips. It's changed our lives, and it's not like you have to go somewhere to do it. It's
by the way,
in the comfort of your own home.
She has incredible playlists on Spotify. You
yes,
can look her up, Myra Penaloza.
I am a great DJ.
She's been rocking it out. Yeah, she's been DJing. Over.
It means a lot coming from the music nerd. So thanks, babe.
Yeah. So mother is the core. Mother is the root. Mother is creation.
Mm-hmm. Mother sees the other. It's in mother.
Mm-hmm.
Like you can relate.
And I think the blind spot we have, right, is that we came into physical form through mother, right?
Yeah.
And most of our lives, most people are trying to, we all know we didn't have the best childhood or whatever it was,
whatever
right?
It is, yeah. Whatever the story is.
We're all trying to heal the parental wound, the mother and the father wound, and all that kind of stuff. But so we're brought into the physical world through the mother, into the physical world of Mother Earth, right?
Mother
and
Earth,
so
Pachamama.
That is a huge part of the healing that we need to look deeper at, right? What happens when we spend time in nature, when we go to the forest? Like, what happened when the women came down the forest?
Oh my gosh! So we went in the forest for rest.
You like that one too much.
I like that one too much.
Forest.
And no, we took off our mask literally and put clay on our face. There was more that we wanted to do, but just for the sake of the time and the location and who else was on the property, we, bared our faces and put clay on our face, and we sat almost kind of like a vision quest, but a little bit of a modern remix to it. And something so simple can be so powerful, because that simple act of just removing the makeup, putting clay on your face, covering your eyes, covering your lips, the nostrils, slicking your hair back, and going and sitting with nature and allowing nature to see you, it moved the women.
Yeah.
It moved the women tremendously. They got to sit with Mother.
Yeah, this is the way that we heal Mother. And
the Mother energy does not judge you. The Mother energy does not condemn you. The Mother energy doesn't, she is divine love. She is
nurturing,
pure love.
Healing.
She is that intimacy, that intimacy. And yeah, she may request that you show up a little better next time. You know, yeah, she may request that, you know, you self-inquire, you inner resource, you align, you course correct. She might not tell you how, but she will incept that seed to walk in that beauty.
That's beautiful. Yeah. So healing is about bringing things to completion, you know, and in life, so many of us start so many things and don't bring them to completion. And so it's a reminder going into actually this month of June, we have two Capricorn full moons coming up. So that near the end of June, we have a Capricorn full moon.
Yeah.
And also in July, we have a Capricorn full moon. So this is a really good time between now and the Capricorn full moon to start completing things.
Yeah.
Really, this is the chance to culminate and use your energy knowing Capricorn full moon's coming to like really bring things, because you could really have a lot. You could really move your life forward in a big way. And in terms of your mother, you can sit down in nature and think about your mother. And it's not like this mother wound that we're dealing with is a version of our mother from way back, from our childhood. And it's kind of in our body. This is why we do yoga, actually, and dance, is to move this physically out of us, bring it to the surface so that we could see it, to release it. And that's really most of it. Is a lot of these healings just need completion. And completion quite often means just bring attention to it. Yeah. And sit with it and be with it.
And observe what is being revealed within that healing.
And something we're learning as parents is that, you know, parents are human. And to forgive
we're
your
human, yeah. And I mean, the parents that we had before could only do with so much information that they had. And I know this has been said in different ways from all platforms, up, down, and sideways, and even inside out. However, it's not applied, you know, like for example, there was this woman who came to the Bali on retreat, and I just saw her today. She came to the shop to get something adjusted because she's so petite. And I remember being a bit, not harsh, but just like pierced through the mask. And I was like, that's not your story anymore. Like, drop it. And I remember feeling like, oh, I hope she doesn't take that personal. And we kind of hashed that out. I didn't tell you this. We kind of hashed it out. Not hashed out. There was nothing to be hashed out, but she saw it and I saw it and we spoke about it, and there was such lightheartedness to it, because soon after that she sat in ceremony and she wasn't carrying that with her. And she actually had the most blissful experience where she could actually dance. And it was like her own subtle energetic rebirth of like, no, I'm not my mother's story.
Yeah. So what happens is these stories come up. I am tired. I have no time. I need to heal the mother wound. I need to heal my relationship with prosperity and money and all those types of things. They come up for us to look at and for us to bring completion to. And we bring completion to it through awareness, writing about it, thinking about it, and then letting it go.
Yeah,
you know,
kind of
purging
giving
it and giving it to Mother Nature.
Giving it to Mother, giving it to the higher council, and just trusting that there it is, and it's no longer seated in you. The thing that we forget as the human species is that we're constantly changing. There's a constant level of transformation that is happening in our bodies all the time. However, the mind keeps us from that level of transformation because the mind knows its landscape, it knows its parameters, it knows the safety, and
that's the survival mind. Yeah,
it's the survival mind.
Yeah.
So it doesn't want to lose control. Yeah. So sometimes we need to see the bliss within the chaos, that fluid chaos, you know, down the waterfall, water rafting, there is chaos. Then eventually there's peace as the water flows down the river, right? And then again, chaos, and then again, peace. You know, there's this ebb and flow continuously.
And to have a bit of humor and humility in that this is a lifelong process, but it's not a process to stop you from attaining your thing. You know, like when I heal the mother, then I'll do this. No, it's like this is a lifetime of learning of, this comes up and that must have been in this situation and that situation, right? Because they were so innocent in helping us, you know what I mean? I mean, we just left our son at home, with our nanny just a minute ago to come film here.
Yeah.
And there was
like, bye, Mama.
Yeah, he gave the kiss goodbye, but also there's a moment of like, we're not perfect parents, we're not, fully there with him all the time, but we created the space for him to have such a good time.
Such a good time.
And feel safe
Yeah.
and all that, and nurture.
And expanded. Like he had his first, he had his first sleepover because I had the kids come up for the retreat just because Rabindra went to Singapore and took Hero and his mother to renew a visa. And so it was kind of a lot. And so I was like, why don't you just let the kids come stay the night with me at this women's retreat that we're hosting, and then you have a nice downtime. So it started on the weekend. It was a Saturday, Sunday, and it went all the way up until Tuesday. And the kids came, and it was so nice to have them in this space. They had a little sleepover in the Joglo across the way, and it was expansive for me too because we co-sleep together. And they were sleeping with my co-host. No, I'm just kidding. The woman that I co-led the retreat with and her children. So it was just such a sweet, symbiotic connection. And Hero's 4 and had his first sleepover. And I mean, again, down the hall, but still, it was kind of a big deal and very expansive for him. And to have that level of maturation to just start to kind of realize, okay, there's a level of freedom that I have within this expansion. So it was really sweet for me to see that, and also for the women, because not all of them are mothers, to be in this space that this is an inclusive space. Your children are more than welcome. Don't worry about the how. If the intention is to have your kids there, the how will just kind of weave itself into the beautiful dance that we're weaving. And it was alchemical. It was just so beautiful and seamless. Seamless, that was the word that I was trying to find when I was explaining it to you.
So, my father passed away 5, 6, 7 years ago. And it wasn't until he passed that I really started to heal my relationship with him. And I would say, like, now my mother actually lives with us in Bali, and it's been a blessing, and it's also for me, it's like a head scratcher that that my mom's there, but I'm from a culture that brings family together. We had grandparents living with us, we had like the whole gang, and that's how we do as Punjabis. And
I mean, same in any Latin, outside of the West platforms.
Yeah. So I wanted to share that, like, even if your mother isn't there, or even if your mother is there, you won't be free from mother healing if your mother just is not there anymore in another country or whatever. That's an illusion. The mother that we're trying to heal is not exactly the physical mother. It's actually the version of the mother we have a story of in our minds and in our bodies from these past experiences. So these past experiences live in our bodies and in our minds, and that's what we're trying to heal our relationship with. So it really has nothing to do with them anymore. It's really our own cyclical loop, because the mind records. So that survival mind records everything, and anything to do with survival, it will record and put on repeat. Right? So if there was any little thing that happened, the mind will record it, the survival mind, and will put it on repeat for life. And it's up to us to see it happen and just bring it to consciousness, make it whole, and move on.
Yeah. Yeah. Close the loop on that healing. Yeah. Allowing it to no longer play an inning in your life.
Yeah. Yeah. And if you have a consistent practice, and you constantly are mindful of your field, your magnetic field, that which pulls and draws everything in from the field that we create reality from through a practice, you'll quickly, all the things will come up for you. All the things that you need to heal will be brought to your awareness, and through your practice, you will clear it. Yeah, in no time. We have a practice of going to the ocean, a couple times a week to have a conversation
with the great mother. The ocean.
Walk along the ocean is so healing in so many ways. One of the reasons we actually came to Bali was to be with the ocean. Because I was in Canada, landlocked Canada, and in Alberta, and there was no water.
It's the prairies, yeah.
It was. I mean, if there was water, it was frozen.
Yeah. I mean, but we had good mountain spring waters.
Yeah,
I mean, we'd had to hike
good.
for them.
It was good.
But it was worth the discovery.
Yeah. So if we can make this shift, this mother shift, it completely changes this how we're seeing the world. So how we see the world makes how we're being, and how we're being creates our reality. So if we can kind of slow it down and look at how we're seeing things, our perspective or story, and how you're, that part of your reality, then you'll really start to see changes in your life.
It's how you're responding to the world.
How am I being? Is a really big question. How am I being in this relationship? Am I showing up in a really big way? How's my relationship with the world? Am I too stuck in survival to kind of poke my head up and even do something about what's happening in the Middle East there? Am I able to face it, And what story am I telling myself? If I can, most of it is like, I'm too busy, I'm in survival, I can't even fill my own cup, kind of stuff that comes up for a lot of people. Or, but as you get stronger and as you do your work, you start to kind of pull yourself up. And if you constantly are putting yourself in this beingness of, I want this world to be a better place.
Be a better place. Yeah. And that shows with you being a betterman. You said something earlier today about like, wow, because I guess we spoke up a bit more on what's happening in the Middle East, and I made it a personal post. And before, comments that would have been negative or that would have been just against my value and who I am being would have really hit me, would have really my energy would have been down. I would have been gloomy, boomy. And the way that I'm being, the way that I'm showing up, it's like, this is the next level of really showing up as the human beings that I want to see on the planet, advocating for freedom.
Yeah, advocating for truth and a way of being that is mature, it's
mature and that has some fierce and grace.
Yeah, you gotta be a fierce parent sometimes, and sometimes you gotta. I mean, that's when you're protecting your child. Yeah, and the same goes with your consciousness, right? Yeah, and we're born from the mother, and we create a story about our mother. I mean, I remember when we both arrived in Bali 6 years ago, we both had stories about our mothers, and look at how much it's shifted, because we've done so much work over the last 6 years, and even like last 6 months, we've done an immense amount of work. Yeah. And wow, it's
been such a process. I mean, they call Bali, Mother Bali.
Whoa.
Yeah.
Okay.
Mama Bali. So, I mean, not no. As our friend would say. But yeah, we came here with the intention to, for me, it was seeing a lot of my autopilot response to certain triggers and activations that weren't necessarily mine. And when you're in a place of being, inflamed and not eating the best food because you're making an excuse that you have to make milk. That was my excuse, knowing better, but just ravenously hungry, because I was tandem feeding at the time. And during that moment, I could see my nervous system depleted. So a lot of the work that doesn't get applied and activated on a daily basis, you can see the quick autopilot responses, or as we know them, reactions. And for me, sitting with practices that have allowed us to go deeper into the psyche and has allowed us to go deeper into the projection of the thought forms, to really see them and physically purge them out. So much has been liberated, and so much has been cleared and opened.
The thing that we want to stress to you is that what we're talking about, if anything, has actually triggered you. Sorry, but really,
disclaimer.
But really, it's these things are not personal things. These are human things. These are things that we all deal with. We are all born from mother into this physical form, Mother Earth, and now the thing that's human, the problem that human beings are having is and you see it all the time, is disconnection. Right? Disconnection to nature.
Deficit
disconnection to self, disconnection to the so there's this huge disconnect, and then there's no wonder why there is such a battle with the physical form, because the mother is physical form.
Yes, it's such a big battle with the physical form,
and that's our relationship to a mother. And in some way we're trying to escape this physical form, this physical
entrapment.
Thing.
Well, it's a gift, really.
And and so healing our relationship with mother is our gateway home. It is our way. You look at humanity, there's massive suffering, there's massive turmoil, there's massive disconnection. This is all mother issues. All the leaders in the world right now have mother issues that they need to go and deal with. They're operating like toddlers. They're 4-year-olds with a lot of power.
Having a tantrum,
Having a 4-year-old having a tantrum is very similar to a lot of how the presidents of the different United States and other countries are operating from, And you see a toddler having a tantrum. It's a very similar thing.
Well, it's because they never got their needs met. And so there was not that level of love and compassion. And we can see that because in those times, say, for example, how old is the current president? Like he's
80.
Now circle back 80 years later, where were the children going? They were going to boarding school, especially children that came from that level of, what would you call that? Privilege and prosperity. They were sent to boarding school, So imagine yourself as a 3, 4, 7-year-old boy being taken from your mother, and maybe the father wasn't even present, And at the time, there was no diagnosis of, postpartum depression. And also, who knows how the birth might have gone, So there's so many different variables, and how supported was the woman during those times. We were completely cut off from the indigenous ways of how to support the mother, how to support the feminine, right? On purpose during those patriarchal times. Not to blame it on the patriarchal, but it was done on purpose, right? To desensitize from the heartbeat.
Yeah. So there you go. So that is how, as a humanity, as a race, that is what why is things like that the way they are is because of that. Mother is that source to home. Mother is our connection to the physical reality. Our mother relationship with mother is really everything.
Is everything. I like to tell Soleil sometimes when she's having a hard time in school, is usually from the boys, is that, I always tell her, maybe they just need a hug. Maybe they don't get enough attention at home. And for her, she doesn't understand that. Like, well, what do you mean? They don't get hugs, they don't get cuddles, and you see that play out in a child's behavior. The out of rhythm reactions and tantrums come from a need for attention, a need of feeling empowered.
Yeah, and that's the mother's job, or the mother energy, and even as a father, I realize that I'm also a mother. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah,
my daughter said that to me the other day, because mom was away for a couple of days on a trip for her women's retreat, and I'm like, so do you miss mom? Do you miss? And she's like, I do, but you're here and you're kind of like mommy too. And I'm like, so. Yeah, it's because it's the force of nurturing, right? Mother is nurturing, mother is uplifting, mother is brightness, mother is that hug that you're talking about. Yeah,
the inner embrace. Yeah.
And
the container. Mother is the container. It's you're being held. There's a I would say that the father is also support, right? This father is, but we'll speak about father in the next topic.
Yeah. So, we live in a polarity planet. There's so much hardwired within the human beingness, being a human, that is all about survival. And then on top of that, the way the world has been designed, there's just a lot of issues. You go on Instagram for 2 minutes and you'll see that very quickly. And so this, in the scriptures, they say not to let the mind get dirty, to remain immaculate, and this is going back to the practice, right? So we have to continuously direct the mind to the right place, over and over and over and over again. So it shifts your field from where you're coming from, which then shifts the story that you end up creating and who you're being in all of that. And when thinking about yourself, when thinking about your children, when thinking about the people that we're working with, instead of specifically with children and specifically with our relationship with mother, instead of focusing on the things that are wrong with them, that they're doing wrong, and it's our job to help them make it right, like just focus on what they're doing right,
what they're good at,
make
that brighter,
empower the strength in your life,
make that wider, brighter, and just like amplify that,
nurture that, and be immaculate. Bring your mind beingness into this immaculate space, and that is mother. That is
the ability to merge with the infinite. So
direct your mind to the divine mother, the earth.
Which, she doesn't, again, like I mentioned earlier, she's not judging you. She's not telling you what to do. She's just there in all her beauty, in all her bounty. I mean, people say that what we're doing to preserve her is almost a joke because, she is far more intelligent than we will ever know. Yeah. Cool.
So let's not continue in a conversation with the negative. Let's stay clean. Let's mother ourselves. Let's heal the mother. Let's bring up the things that need to be brought up, and they happen naturally. They happen in relationship. That's the power of being in a relationship, is that through the interaction, mincing word,
mirror.
But in the mirror of relationship, we bring up all the things. You bring
all the
up
things
the mother,
that need to be seen, that need attention,
and we can heal them and move on.
That need mending, for sure.
And then go help others as much as you can.
Much as you can. I think that's the mission, is to be of service.
Who am I being today? I am being that person I imagine a long time in the future, of like the world in a much better place, run by, imagine like ethical, moral, well-mothered, good relationship with mother and father, leaders, men and women, in harmony, that see the collective, that see their role in the collective. If you look at nature, it's all about the collective. It's all abundant, and Mother Nature, if we connect to this abundant nature that's already within us, we're going to shift the planet.
Immensely, fiercely, invincibly.
Cool. All right. Hope we didn't
go off on a tangent and lose you.
Yeah, it's been a minute, but we had a lot to share this month. It is the end of May. We'll leave it like that, cherry on top, and we'll see you in June. Capricorn June. Lots of good things are happening. Jupiter is right now in Gemini for the next year, so expect a lot of change. With the Jupiter Gemini in June.
No.
For the next year.
Now for the next year. Okay. Yeah. They just.
Yeah. Watch for the newsletter. She drops 2 a week or 3 sometimes. It's been really good. Anyway, Satnam. Thank you.
Thank you, and see you soon. Be well.